Okay, well. Sorry, I'm a little under. We're just finishing up. The Kesser. Let me just give a. As we end the Kesser, let me just go back to the beginning for a moment. The whole Tomer Devorah is about emulating Hashem. Why emulating Hashem? Why? So this is a yesod which I think is unwritten, but goes through every single word of the Tomer Devorah, and that is that when Hashem created the world, He didn't just create us as people, as end users to go enjoy the Garden of Eden, go enjoy the world, but it was to continue. Asher bara Elokim lasos was to continue the creation, meaning that the design of the world is such that Hashem created the world, and that He carried people to carry on the creation and to do chesed with one another, to plant trees, to do whatever humans are supposed to do, have children, but it's procreation. It's a continuation of the creative process, not just an end user of the creative process. And that's why Hashem created us, B'Tselem Elokim. It's not just like, oh, I like you, I'm going to make you look like me. The Tselem Elokim that we're talking about, being created in the image of Hashem, whatever that means, obviously doesn't mean a physical manifestation of Hashem. But what it means is that you'll have certain kochos that Hashem has. And that's certain kochos that Hashem has. And with those kochos, you can finish off God's intent for the world. So you can mess up big time, because you have very, very strong kochos. So like we're in the back room with all the controls, and a stupid person could blow up the world. Hashem Yishmor. So when we talk about it, so Tomer Devorah speaks about it in terms of two ways: the mitos of Hashem, which is the 13 mitos of Hashem, Karach v'Chanun, or in the words of Micha, and then we started going into, which we're finishing today, which is why I want to review the Kesser of Hashem, the Spheros of Hashem. So a little bit more complicated. Not just the midos. We can understand midos of Hashem. We can understand Hashem is slow to anger. We can understand Hashem has mercy. We should have mercy because we're continuing on the creative process. This is what you have to do. So we're like angels in that sense. Just like malachim have their different jobs, we have our jobs. It's no difference. The same thing. But when we talk about spheros, we're talking about something a little bit more complex, because the spheros are not about the different midos of HaKadosh Baruch Hu that we can identify in terms of our lifestyle, but we're talking about the midos is like a light going through a prism and coming out in so many different ways. The one or pashut coming out Eser Gavonim, 7 that you can see, and 3 that you can't even tell. They're monocular and whatever the correct word for transparent light is, colorless light. It's not monocular, it's less, right? Like monocular is one color.
Invisible.
Is that a word?
Invisible light, yeah.
Invisible light. So here we're talking about how to be act in the derech of Hashem, not just according to his midos, which is relatively easy, hard to do, but easy to understand, but almost in terms of the the personality of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, the different colors of Hashem. And of those 10 spheros, most people stop at the beginning of the second parak. Of those 10 spheros, the most complicated of them is the spheros HaKesser. Because at least the 7 spheros of Chesed, Gvura, Tiferes, Netzach, Yisod, Malchus, we're used to talking about them on spheros Omer, and they have words that make sense, Chesed, Gvura, Tiferes. But when we're talking about the Kesser, if you look at the Kabbalists over the generations have tried to make different kinds of drawings and charts to try to explain this. Of course, it's just a mashal, but one of the more famous ones is the goes everywhere from a Magen David to the sheer koma of a person, a person himself. So you have the right side is Chesed, the left side is Gvura, Tiferes, and Netzach Hod Yesod, and the Malchus is your feet on the ground. But of course, it's only a mashal. We're talking about a Kadosh Baruch Hu, but the head is not in that mashal. Because the head starts from the neck down, because the head is Keser. So the Keser is presumably too hard to understand. It's before Hashem actually made the creation that we know of. So what are we going to understand about it? So, but nevertheless, we know certain things about it, and the mashal is the face. So the last part of it is, that's what I just want to do today for a few minutes, Hashmidis, the last part of the Keser, maybe the part we know about the most, but we understand the least, is we went from the ears to the forehead to the nose. We went through the whole of face over here. We took apart the face. But Hashmidis hu piv, a person's mouth, Hashem's mouth, lo yotzi ala toiva, and let's just read the words here. One's mouth should only give out good. Gizras habar of Torah. So we'll put on the fancy words here. Gizras habar means when you cut your wool, meaning when you articulate. Gizras habar, lashon ha'omer. Torah. The words that I say should be Torah. V'hafakas u'tzayid toiv tamid. One should always give out a ratzon tov, say good things. V'lo yotze mipiv davar meguna. And one shouldn't say negative things out of their mouth. V'lei klala, v'lei roges, v'kas klal. V'lo dvar b'teilim. Let me just explain. I mean, obviously we should all say good things and do good things, and for this we don't have to need. For this we don't need God to know we should say good things. But it's what's important to understand here, to bring out, is the peh is a very it's a very, we just look at it, we take it for granted we have a mouth. Some of us have a big mouth, some has a little mouth, but like we all have a mouth. But it's, we see when Hashem created the world, it was Basar Babarais Divrah Elul. He created the world with Dibur. Because even though, you see when Hashem created a person, created the neshama within the person, so he created a person, golem, that he didn't need any, but when he blew a breath into the person, it was a breath. The breath, v'yipach ba'apav, what into our nose, where did it come from? Kivyachol, Kadosh Baruch Hu's mouth. So the life force that exists, the muscle for it, is the peh. So, therefore, when we take in, we can be taking in from HaKadosh Baruch Hu, but when we give out, we're giving out our own neshama. And it's an extremely important thing to understand. I mentioned before that the pshat in Tkiyah Shofar on Rosh Hashanah is that since HaKadosh Baruch Hu blew our neshama into our nostrils, Pasuk says before, Vayipach be'apav nishmas chayim. So when we blow shofar, we're taking it, and we're taking our neshama and we're giving back, okay, here's what we've got inside of us. This is what we did with the neshama that you blew into. So we're blowing it back, kilu, to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. So the breath is an extremely important part of the neshama. Neshima, seems to be the same word. Neshima, and it's breathing in the neshama through the nose and breathing it out through the mouth. So it means to say, that's what happens by the Tkiyah Shofar also. It's coming out, you don't blow shofar through your nose or through your ears, you blow shofar through your mouth. That's how you articulate. So what does it mean? I'm giving you here an anatomy lesson of how to breathe. There'll be a mouth breather, be a nose breather. The pshat is that just like when Hashem wanted to create something, he created it b'koach peh, created with his peh. So the same thing, every time we use our mouth, it's not just we're saying something. or we're letting out hot air. Every time we use our mouth, we actually created something. And it's a pretty powerful idea when you think about it, because the mouth is Gizras Amarav. It's the that we're taking our neshama, which is bli gvul, and we're articulating it, meaning that we're putting it, we're giving it a tzura in a way that it's actually coming out. And it's coming out, so it's Gizras Amarav, it's an articulated thing. You've not created something. So whether anybody's listening to you or not listening to you, whether you're alone in a room or whether you're all by yourself, there's a big difference between machshava and dibur. Machshava, rabbis machshava splavish. Person thinks and thinks and thinks. Got to watch with your machshava too. But dibur is already considered dibur kabaisa. Dibur is already considered a baisa. You see that the person says to a woman, "Harayat mekudeshesli," just dibur. She's already mekudeshes. This the rabbanon were b'chayiv that she has to have a shava pruta to make a kinyan. The dibur itself, even the dibur, according to many rishonim of a get, could be mater eshazish. Okay, you need an instrument of divorce because you need a chalais das. But that's if you could have a divorce, if you don't say harayat megureshesli or menutekesli or whatever the lashon is, then you're not menutek. So you see here that a peh, the peh has a huge koach. Person can make a shvua or a neder, and he can make his whole world usher to him, and it's legitimate. If you think it doesn't happen, there's really very little you could do even that can make something usher with your hands. It's strictly a matter of the peh. So why is this? Because the peh is that which takes the neshama and brings it, takes the neshama from wherever that is, takes the neshama and articulates it, brings it from inside to outside. So once something is a deeper, created a new reality. And I think that's really as creators, it's very, very powerful to know that we created a new reality. And sometimes you think things, it's not good to say them. I once took a couple that were having a lot of difficulty together. So I once took them to a big puddle to try to talk it through. So in the conversation, the scuttle said, "Did anybody use the divorce word yet?" So they said no. Okay, he said don't. It's once you've created that reality, so it's not just like, oh, you said the word. The saying of the word is extremely powerful. So it's important to understand what the peh is. It gives it a whole new understanding. For instance, the chet of lashon hara. The Chafetz Chaim, like when he points out, a lot of people don't read. They read the halachas. They read the Shur. They read the introduction to the Chafetz Chaim. He talks about hachayev v'habavas biyad halashon. So he says that I suppose he meant kabbalistically. Like it's not just if I speak about you, I could be doing you damage for sure. That's for sure doing damage. But just like even if I'm alone in a room and nobody hears me, I just gotta I have this sort of like logotherapy that I'm into, that I sit and I curse everybody in the world. It's also chet lashon hara, says the Chafetz Chaim. There's a chet lashon hara in talking even when nobody's listening. You're talking in a room full of deaf people, and
they can read lips.
So the Chafetz Chaim explains that it's not just like, okay, you can take a gun, you could shoot somebody, or you could shoot arrows with your mouth. That's true, but that's not even the issue. The issue of lashon hara is don't say it. By saying it, you're bringing something from the world of. You start with Atzilus Bria. So you're bringing something into this world. You're making it a reality.
Dibur to Dova.
Dibur to Dova. So that's true, because that's why on Shabbos also it has a V'daber Dova. There's an Isser. What's the Isser to speak? About You can speak as much as you want. Talk is cheap. It's not cheap. So if I speak on Shabbos about a business deal, I brought something into her. I've created some kind of a reality on Shabbos. Do you know that Rav Chaim Lozhin says? I once asked Rav Scheinberg why he doesn't talk on Shabbos. I didn't ask him on Shabbos. I asked him why he doesn't talk on Shabbos. I asked him on Sunday. He didn't talk on Shabbos for I think 80 years. He never spoke on Shabbos. Titus Dibor. So he said to me that Tosfos brings a Yerushalmi that there were certain Amoraim that didn't talk on Shabbos. So he said that it's not a din, you're not allowed to talk on Shabbos. He wouldn't let anybody else take this on Haggadah themselves. It's not something to try this at home. But I think I mentioned here a couple hundred times that I once asked the Rebbe, said, how is it that your husband doesn't talk on Shabbos? He says he took her years till she noticed. Yeah. I was saying he didn't talk that much altogether, but he told me that Rav Chaim, the real Melacha Shabbos, like if you really want to understand what's usher to do on Shabbos, it's to create things, to create something new. If you look at the whole Melachas HaMishkan, it's all about creating bishul. You're changing something from hard to soft, from soft to hard. When you're writing, you're creating words. When you're all Lavates Melachas, with the exception of carrying, where you're not creating anything. And this Tosfos in Shabbos Daf Beis tells us that that's a Melacha Geruah. It's a Shracha Melacha because you're really not creating anything. Nevertheless, on a metaphysical level, apparently you are changing something by taking it from here and putting it over there. There's a difference in the properties over there, but it's metaphysical. So the issue of Shabbos is creativity. In other words, we're understanding that Hashem is the creator, and on Shabbos we're allowing Hashem to create. We're taking a break from our part of it of creating. It's just as important to do Sheishes Yom Tasa B'Lachtecha. It's just as important to create because we're born to be creators. We're born to be creative, and we're born to advance the world in a good place, but not on Shabbos. Shabbos, that's when, just like Hashem rested, we rest. Do you understand the significance according to the Tomer Devorah? You're B'Tselem Elokim. Yeah, we're here to create. We're born to create. So just like Hashem rested, you rest. That's all part of it. This is the system of creation is not on Shabbos for whatever reason. But it's just so Shabbos makes so much more sense once you read Tomer Devorah. He rested, you rest. He does tov, you do tov. He's Bahu Rachum, Afata Tia Rachum, Bahu Shavas, Afata Shavas. It makes perfect sense. So he said that Rav Chaim Lozhin, that's the whole first parak of Nefesh HaChaim, explaining how every time a person speaks, it's creating not just something in front of them, not just creating some kind of a reality, but actually creating oilamos. It's all with speaking. Speech has a tremendous koach in creation. So he said, so it's not right to speak on Shabbos. Why does he speak on Shabbos? Because for him it would be an act of creation. So it's a just to make a sikum of this. So says that the neshama is a ruach. Vayipach ba'apav ruach chayim. The Targum knows to translate that it means ruach mebalala. That it's only with this neshama can someone speak. It's a different type of neshama than the neshama of a rabbit or a squirrel. Speaking, the ability to speak, makes you a different kind of neshama. It's mamash shechelek of the neshama of Hashem. And why does it come out in Malala? Why does it come out in Dibor? Because the exhale of the neshama is all in the pen. It's a mouth thing. So that which comes out of our pen. Remember the Gemara says that you shouldn't be mevatel tinoika shel beis rabban, because you should take them out of cheder, the children, even for the binyan of Beis Hamikdash. So the Gemara says, what about our learning? The Amoraim asked, what about our learning? It's nothing. So it's all of that. Eino doima have help pihem she'ein bahem chet lahavel pihem she'esh bahem chet. They're deep word. They have help pihem, that which they're exhaling is holy. In other words, they're building more than you're building with the bricks and the mortar. Why? And it's completely pure. It's completely pure. So it's a hevel piyam she'ein b'hem chetz. It's not just like you're talking. As the Chafetz Chaim says that when you talk lashon hara, you're actually destroying the world. And on a positive note, when you talk something good about somebody, you're actually building the world. This is something that we can all do. Just put out good things, put out bad things. Not for it. So that's the conclusion. Just to show you something.
The Russian is the same as the pet in this context, or the Russian?
So we got to break it down further. What's the job of the lashon? What's the job of the shilayim? But the lashon is that which articulates words within the past. So it's the articulator, if you will, of the past. It's a good point that has to be. But just saw this, Rabbi Yaacov says that there's a mitzvah, it says in Perek Beis, Rabbi Yaacov Perek Beis, Perek Aleph Mishnah Vav, that there's a mitzvah, I'll call Adam Ladud L'Kav Schus. Now, the Chafetz Chaim asks this question, that the Rabbi Yaacov also sort of, the Chafetz Chaim articulates that Perek Beis is not a sefer of halacha, Perek Beis is a sefer of ethics, if you will, Musar, Hanhaga. But this idea of being down l'kav schus is a din deraisa, b'tzedek tishpoites avisecha. It's a din for dayanim, b'tzedek tishpoites avisecha. So what's it doing with Perek Beis altogether? It doesn't say Perek Beis you should keep Shabbos. It doesn't say Perek Beis you should put on tefillin. So why does it say Perek Beis you should be down l'kav schus? So the Rabbi Yaacov explains that this is a different thing. When judges are sitting in judgment and they're trying to figure out if you're innocent or guilty, so let's try to be no to the din to tov. We have enough negativity in us automatically, so let's try to be no to the din to tov and see what we can find out of it. This is about nothing to do with the mitzvah of being down l'kav schus. How this is quite amazing, Rabbi. How you are judging a situation in another person is actually a judgment which has a tokef in Shamayim. Being dalek havschus. Ibishumat tzad yachal ladun l'schus yesh loy bar l'toyv l'schave. In other words, there's an opportunity if you're sitting in judgment. This is what it says in Perek Beis. There's an opportunity if you're sitting in judgment by giving someone the benefit of the doubt, b'dibur. So now you're creating an actual goodness in that person. Here, do you understand? In other words, let's say you're sitting with a bad person, and you want to make that person into a good person. The way to help make them, I mean, I don't know if it works like that, but maybe you could try it. But the way to make the person into a good person, l'chara, is not by giving him musar to this bad, to that bad, to this bad. This seldom works. I have yet to see something. Doesn't work. I noticed through 38 years of the rabbinate, when you tell people to stop talking and show they talk more. It's an interesting phenomenon. The more you tell them, more because, yeah.
It's time to talk.
What?
It's time to talk.
Well, if so what's to tell them that you probably don't need to be talking? It's probably some kind of an emergency here, right? Some solo call or something. I don't know. It's got to be something earth-shattering. The idea of being daluk havschus is actually creating a schus for the person of that person's neshama. You've created actually ad kedei kach. You've created actually a new reality by being daluk havschus. So again, it's not a way of thinking, a way of talking, and it's not even a way of talking. It's a way of creating. The chiddush here today is that we're creating with our path, just like HaKadosh Baruch Hu says, Basara Babaris Libra Elul, created by Yomer, gracious Nabi Babrahu. Everything is a mimer. So the same thing is when we're talking, we're creating. So you got to be careful what you create. And this is a huge. We're not rabbits, so this is a huge responsibility that we have, that we're able to do this creative thing. Brings here Rabbi Nachman of Breslov, Likutei Eitzos, Erech Einayim. Ayidei limud schus she'adam melabed al harasha. Ayidei zeh ha'adam litzol mira ayin shel harasha. How far he's taking this? That by being down l'kavschus a rasha, certain Rishonim you're not allowed to be down l'kavschus, but that's going to be pretty bad. But by being down l'kavschus a rasha, somebody who's on the edge there. So not only are by taking the ra in him, dan l'kavschus, not only by taking the ra in this person and turning it into tov, but this is Rav Nachman. On the other, it goes even further than that. Al yedei zeh ha'adam, that means I who are being done, nitzol mira ayin shel harasha. I've taken away the ra ayin of the rasha, the ayin hara. There's so much here. Al tiftach peh l'satan. So many things that we know. Like you got to be careful what you say. You have to be careful. Obviously, you have to be careful. Every word that we say has some kind of an effect. It's not going to go away. What's it said? It's said. Just like in a conversation. What's it said? It's said. Helps very little. Say, I didn't mean that. I take it back. It's because you've created something. You put it out there.
This is ba'amcha. All of these dinim. And you yeah.
Well, yeah, it's a din. Ba'amcha, but it's a trick. Hafilu shelo ba'amcha. It's the trick of everything. It's the trick of kiruv. It's the trick of. It's the koach of a person. The more kadosh, the more tohar your peh is. You see, like the peh is also like very interesting. Like what everything that goes in has to be kosher. Everything that goes out has to be kosher. There isn't much else that has such intake output. And it's gashmius is, ruchnius out. It's very fascinating the way the whole system works. It's like, but isn't that the whole system of the world, that we're taking gashmius and turning it into ruchnius? Like why? What's the holiness of a candle? Whenever we have a holy thing going on, we're always lighting candles. Shabbos, Yartzites, we're always lighting a candle. Why are we lighting candles? Because the candle represents taking something which is physical and making it to something as close as spiritual as we know how. In other words, you're taking it and making it at least metaphysical, light, heat. You're taking it out of the gashmius world. The whole idea is to take, being in this world, is to take, the intake is gashmius. I'm breathing in, I'm taking in food, that has to be kedusha v'tara. And then the more kadosh that is, the more the peh has a koach. This is the koach of a bracha. When goes to a tzaddik and asks for a bracha, this is the koach that he has. It's not that he has some kind of... The koach of a bracha is that he's able to take his peh, create a good reality. And this was the koach of Bilam, that he was able to look at a situation and create a bad reality. It's all the chumash. It's all the chumash. Bilam wanted to create bad. Korach said something bad. Moshe was vayipol al panav. Don't even talk like this. So this is a big Jewish thing. I don't know if anybody else talks like this, like us. That the dibur, the peh, has this koach. Let's finish this. Rab Nachman Lizar shlo yidaber al shum echad b'Yisrael. Rak adra b'yishtadlu b'chol koichai limtzei schus v'toiv b'chol echad b'Yisrael. Even if somebody's a Rasha, find some part of him that was not affected by the Ra.
Build it up.
And build it up. So it's not just psychological. Well, this is the Lashon over here. You're actually bringing it up, being down of l'kavschus. You're creating a schus in another person. Okay? So this should be read at the Kiruv conventions. Yuchal lahashivai b'tshuva. You can get a person to do tshuva. You know how many directly or indirectly, Rabbi Nachman people. I'm not a wrestler, but how many people he was brought to tshuva? Almost nobody else in the world has ever. And it's all this Nakuda Tova. It's a dibur of Nakuda Tova. Yeah, I think I mentioned last week somewhere, and I don't remember anywhere we were talking about. But you know, it's such an interesting thing that when it comes to we talk pretty freely. You know, we think pretty freely. When it comes to I don't know how many of us, at least I don't think 100 times before we say something. It's probably a good thing to do, but I can't say I do it. But when it comes to giving somebody a compliment, we become very, very bachmer, like briskers, you know. Oh, it's going to go to his head. And, you know, it's going to become a balgaiva loyalenu, a big sashracha b'fanav, kulei shalai b'fanav. If the Hever, right, the next thing you know is it's a funny thing. We're so, you know, we're so bach. We're like, what's going to happen already? Like you give somebody a compliment, like we're very cheap on this. It doesn't cost us good guilt. What do we care? For some reason, there's something. I think the shot is because it has such a koach that there's a Maisa son not to do. It's such a koach to just a well placed compliment. Is in the gender of being down Lekav's chus, you know. It was beautiful the way you said that, you know. It was beautiful the way you wrote that. That was a nice davening that you did. That was so wonderful the way I see you with your children. It's not just like making the person feel good. Here's the chap. You're actually creating a good reality. You're giving out a sort of an energy and an aura which only a tzaddik can give out. So we need to be those tzaddikim to give out that aura. But it's all, you know, we're just got to get over this thing. It would be a nice thing if, not false, I'm not talking about walking around like Meshuggah is, you know, like, I'll take nice mustache. I don't need that. I'm just saying, to try to find, this, like Rav Nachman says, find the one Nakuda Tova and build it up. That's what you have to do. So, okay, so we're done. I just wanted to give this too long introduction, probably. So let's just read it again. Hashmidas, once we understand the koach of the peh, lo yotzi ela tova. The peh should only be giving out good stuff. The gizras amarav Torah, if you're formulating, that's what it means, if you're formulating and articulating words, it should be Torah. The havokas out should come ratzon time. There should be lichtakait and good ratzon coming from a person's mouth. Lo yotzi mipiv davar maguna. And one should never allow negative words to come out of their mouth, right? You're familiar, the Gemara Psachim says that Ikem Ches Hoisios, the Torah is so careful every letter, went out of his way not to say the word Tameh, even. We talk in a Lashon Naki. We speak in a Lashon Naki. Why? Because if a person speaks in a Lashon She'enoi Naki, so if you speak a Lashon She'enoi Naki, you're creating an Enoi Naki Metzius in this world. So who wants that? And that's brought, by the way, la halacha. Halacha, that you're not allowed to say, if you can say something nicely, why are you saying it? We're not even talking about, if you think about all the, you don't mind me, you'll forgive me, I hope I'm not violating my own, but if you think of all, at least in the English language, I don't think in Lashon HaKodesh there's too many ways to swear. You know, it's pretty schwach. But if you talk about English, there's many ways to swear. But and they're all classified as all the swear words, the curse words, the 4-letter words. They're all about almost just about every one of those words. Don't think about it too much, but a little bit. They're all about saying out with my mouth things that I would never do in public. It's all about taking something which is supposed to be sanua, hidden, secret with it, and there's a certain azus panim, there's a certain chutzpah, and I'm just going to say it. I'm just saying it. That's all. And it's so interesting that there's this Yetzer Hara to take it out of the world of Ruchnius and bring it into the world of Gash. Some of those things could be the most beautiful and holy things. But to take it out and put it out there in the wrong way is creating, taking something misod right? Misod chacham v'vodim, after chapi, that's what, now let it come from my inside to my outside, let that be a holy thing. So Mevela, even an unholy word, a davar meguna, we don't talk about. V'loy klola, not to curse, because a curse has its koach. V'lo roges, v'kas, klal, no anger. All those angry things, they have a koach in this world. You've created anger in the world. V'lo dvar b'telim, that's already hard. Just dumb conversation. Dvar b'telim, just wasting words. So, and here's the underlinable point, that we have to be like the Hashem's peh. Vayomer, the whole, everything in the world is created with Hashem's peh. And the neshama was given with Hashem's breathing. She'einoid listam klal layimna, meaning Hashem's constantly creating. V'layimna toiv tamid, he's constantly breathing life into this world. Layimna toiv tamid, and it's always good stuff. Person should not be cheap, to stop talking good about everything. So it's a good exercise for here we're Erev Purim. It's a very good exercise. Like, just try to find something good to say. If you think, like, if a person has an issue with a business, with a child, with a marriage, with a this and that, just say good. You're creating good things around you. You're creating good reality. A person, Chaim Elijah says the worst thing to do is for a person to say about himself, "Oh, I'm poor. I don't have any parnasa." Your mom is bringing oni onto yourself. Talk proud. talk rich. So my kids always ask me, like, when I was a kid, like everybody's kids, are you rich? So I always tell them, yeah. I have hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of dollars. I tell them, hundreds and hundreds of dollars. Sometimes even more. Like I get, I'm rich. Yeah. Why not create tov? Right. Like, if everyone's busy telling the kids, like, no, I can't afford that. Create a good reality instead of a bad reality. Create just the patuach. So this is really the avoda of the Tomer Devorah, finishing up the whole keser. And I think very much the avodah of Esther and Mordechai. So to mention that Thursday's Purim, there won't be a shir, and then Sunday I'll be away. So next week from today. So next Thursday will be the next shir of Relach and Purim.